Part 2 of Swamp Watch Presidential Edition. On Thursday, President Trump moved to end collective bargaining with federal labor unions in agencies with national security missions across the federal government by signing a presidential order entitled Exclusions from Federal Labor Management Relations Programs. It was done quietly, and it seems to impact a huge number of federal employees, including the Departments of State, Defense, Veterans Affairs, Energy, Health and Human Services, Treasury, Justice, Commerce, and parts of Homeland Security. According to President Trump, the Civil Services Reform Act of 1978 gives him the authority to end collective bargaining with employees in these agencies because of their role in safeguarding national security. The American Federation of Government Employees, which is the union which represents about 820,000 federal employees in D.C. and nationwide, said that they will, of course, immediately file suit. In an interesting move, though, the Justice Department filed a preemptive lawsuit on behalf of the 8 agencies against the federal labor union in a federal court in the Western District of Texas, which I presume they think is going to be much more favorable to President Trump. President Trump also signed the Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History Act, which specifically goes after the Smithsonian Institution and he goes after the National Museum of African American History and Culture, accusing it of pushing a divisive race-centered ideology. President Trump can't really control what's taught in history class in American schools, but he can go after content in federal institutions, including museums. The order puts Vice President J.D. Vance and Interior Secretary Doug Burgum in charge of reviewing museum content and gives them the power to investigate whether any monuments, including museums, are perpetuating what they call a false reconstruction of American history. Of course, this has immediately been met with criticism as an effort to rewrite history to fit the president's narrative and erase the impact of racism and Black contributions to the nation. There were also 2 orders related to the general fund, what President Trump is calling America's bank account, which handles about $33.9 trillion in cash inflows and $33.6 trillion in cash outflows every single year. According to President Trump, the government is losing between $233 and $521 billion each year in fraudulent payments. And these 2 orders are an attempt to stop that. What the order does is it gives the Treasury Department greater authority to monitor and screen payments made from that general fund. It also forces agencies that handle their own financial transactions to move that function underneath the general fund so that it can be monitored by the Treasury Department. Another order related to what's being called the nation's bank account is modernizing payments and make all transactions digital.